Okay, today we're installing rim trims on our Model 3 Highland. So the purpose of these is to protect the bead or edge of your wheel against road rash, essentially, or curb rash. So when you rub up against a curb, rather than scraping up your wheel, you scrape this up instead. So it's designed to be sacrificial. This is like a TPU based material, but it is a patented design. And the kit comes with everything you need. The good thing about it is it'll also cover up existing road rash as long as it's not too bad. So I'll show you how to do that. Use the chapter markers to get to that section if you need to. So what's in the box? Of course, you get 4 of these. So these go on the wheels. They come in 2 sizes. This is the 1/4 inch, which is suitable for Model 3 Highland. On the website, we will show which models need 1/4 inch, which models need 3/8. We'll sell both, of course. And then you also get this is very similar to a magic sponge, so it's like a melamine sponge cleaner to prep the wheel. This is an important step. The whole objective here, of course, is to have these to stick and stay stuck, so we want to be really careful with the installation process. So I'll go through that step by step on a single wheel, just so you got it, but this is step 1. Step 2, these are essentially alcohol wipes to clean the wheels once you've done this. And then step 3, these are adhesion promoters from 3M. We're not skimping on what's included here. This is all sort of top of the line materials to get this job done. So 4 of these, 1 for each wheel. Typically you apply this to the bead of the wheel where we're going to stick the rim trims, and then give it 5 to 10 minutes to cure, and makes it super sticky, super kind of grippy for the adhesive on here, which again is 3M VHB, best you can get. And then finally you get these little join pieces. So each of these is good for a wheel size of up to 24 inches. So obviously it covers all of the Tesla factory wheels. And then you just use this trim piece to kind of cover the join, because you'll just trim this with a pair of scissors as you go through the installation process. I should say that these are compatible with aero covers, so no issues there. So we're going to do the install on our rear driver's side on our Model 3 Highland. If you ever intend to use the aero covers, then you may want to just install this while you're doing it, because it actually acts as a useful guide as well. So I'm going to do that, which means popping off our center cap, putting the cover on. There it is. Okay, so step 1 is the sponge. So as I mentioned, this is a sort of melamine sponge that's already been treated with isopropyl alcohol. So you just want to kind of work your way around the wheel band. Now obviously you're going to pick up some dirt from the tyre, that's unavoidable, but you really want to just make sure the wheel band is squeaky clean, literally. Okay, I'm going to let that dry for a second. Put that back in the resealable pouch, because you're going to be using this 4 times. Okay, so now we've just got a smaller alcohol wipe. So same thing, just go around. This time I'm going to not get it on the tyre, I'm just going to see whether it's coming off clean, which it pretty much is, so we're in good shape. And I think what I'm going to do is just pop this off for a second. Having already installed it, but just makes access easier to the wheel, and now I can kind of use the inside of the bead as a guide. Okay, just going to let that flash off for a second. Then we're going to use the adhesion promoter. So this has a high petroleum content, at least it smells like it does. So if you have sensitive skin, just put some latex gloves on or something to apply this. If you have gnarly old hands like me, not such a worry. Just trim the top of that. And this is just a small sponge, so we're just going to go around the edge. Make contact with all of the bead of the wheel. Alright, so now we sit back and we wait 5 to 10 minutes for this to cure on the wheel. I'll be right back. Right, so we've allowed the adhesion promoter to cure, and if you feel it, you don't feel much, you just feel a certain grippiness. It's certainly not tacky or anything like that, but as long as it's dry, then you're good to go. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to install this and use it as a guide. If you're not planning on ever using your aero covers, this doesn't matter either way. But I wanted to show this method because it'll work for anyone. So obnoxious. Okay. So after this video, I'll do a quick one with the curb rash wheel. So for this one, doesn't matter where we start. So we're just going to start at the top and work our way around. I'm left-handed, so I will be going anti-clockwise, counterclockwise. First thing we do, peel back, I don't know, that much, 6 inches, whatever. And then what we're looking for, let me get a close-up on the camera of the profile and make sure we're getting that. So this is kind of an inverted L. So we want to hook the top around the top of the bead because that helps it stay in the right place. And then we're just going to work our way around. And the two gaps I'm looking for is this one here between the tyre and the rim, and of course the aero cover as well. We don't want to block the aero cover in. So that's why we have it installed, because it acts as a really useful guide. Keep pulling it back as you go. Now right now I'm just sort of tapping into place because this gives the opportunity, not much mind, but it gives you an opportunity to reposition if you really need to. The adhesion promoter does exactly what it says on the packet though, so you know, don't take too long if you need to have a slight reposition. In terms of ease or difficulty, this is super easy, but it's certainly much easier at the top rather than the bottom because this is just a little bit more out of your eye shot. Take your time, go slower than I am. And having said that, I'll speed up just for a little bit while I finish up this wheel. Okay, so coming out of fast forward, we're almost at the top again here. So just pull back enough. Find where you're going to cut it. Again, precision doesn't have to be perfect here because we're going to use the cover piece anyway. Before we do that though, so look around the wheel, make sure it looks symmetrical against the tyre and the aero cover, and if it does, kind of just apply a bit more even pressure all the way around. You can also use a shop rag or something like that to just kind of even out the pressure. I'm out of shop rags, so I'm going to use a microfiber cloth. Now I'm installing it obviously inside, but if you're installing it outside, we do not recommend driving any distance if it's going to rain anytime soon. Everything fully cures after 72 hours, so but you know, it's drivable within 24. But just, you know, just pay attention to that. Don't drive it if the weather's going to be pretty ugly. And the very last thing, take the cover piece, which is also just a peel and stick. Cover up the join like so. And hopefully you can see that's virtually invisible. Let's move this camera out a little bit. So that's the finished look with the aero cover on. If I pop the cover off, which is never easy, but you'll see it doesn't interfere with the aero cover at all. And honestly, you wouldn't even know it was there in this state or with a center cap on as well. If you do need to get your tyres replaced, then depending on the tyre shop, they may be able to preserve the RimTrim. If not, we'll sell singles, of course, in addition to the full sets. So, you know, fairly economical, given a tyre is going to cost you between $200 and $400. The replacement piece is probably going to be $20–25, so no big deal. All right, thank you for watching. If you want to stay tuned, we'll quickly do the other wheel that has the curb rash on it. So here we have a fairly well abused Model 3 wheel. This is the road rash here. As I mentioned, if it's too rough to the touch, that's when you want to sand it back. This one isn't actually too bad, and a good rule of thumb is if you brush a cloth over it. If it's snagging, then you probably need to sand it back. This isn't, but I'm going to go ahead and just take care of it real quick anyway. So you want to use either a 400 or 600 grit sandpaper, wet or dry, any of those things, but just something with a very light texture, and just very gently go over the top of it. We're just looking to take the peaks and troughs out of it. Again, we're not looking for a factory finish. And then I'm just going to spray that down with a bit of soap solution and then wipe it down. We obviously want to get all the dust off of the area once you're done. Okay, so that feels much better, plenty smooth enough, so now we can go ahead with the RimTrim installation. Take my gloves off. So same process as before, I'll quickly do this and then we can speed through some of it. First thing we do is get the sponge, which is preloaded with alcohol, a little squeeze, and just go all the way around the edge with this. This serves two purposes. It cleans the area, and as mentioned, it's the same material as a magic eraser, so it actually kind of preps the surface as well for the RimTrim. If you want to know how these things work, you can Google it, but it's kind of a microscopic abrasion. Doesn't do any harm at all. And I should mention this is actually carved up in 4 pieces, so plenty to go around. Then once we've done that, we're going to use the alcohol wipe. And this is really your check to make sure the surface is pretty clean. Go all the way around with that. Okay, we'll let that dry for 1 second. Doesn't really dry, it kind of evaporates. And then the very last step is going to be the adhesion promoter. Again, this is a sponge. Wear latex gloves if you don't love the idea of having a petroleum product on your fingers. And we're just going around the bead of the wheel with this as well. As mentioned, this is an important step, and now we're going to stop and come back in about 5 to 10 minutes for the rest of the installation. So we're going to apply the wheel bands. I'll just get this started and speed through it so you don't have to watch the entire process, but there's just a couple of important things to note when you're applying it to a wheel with wheel rash. And the most important one is, let's not start here, right? Because you want the joint to be on an area where you've got the maximum adhesion capability. So we're just going to start, and we've got some paint or wheel coating lost over here. So we're just going to start over here. Again, I'm left-handed, so I'm going to be going anti-clockwise. You may go the other way. And I'm using sort of fingers and thumbs just to get it lined up. I don't have the aero cover installed on this one. Doesn't matter at all. And again, you're looking to get the sort of, there's a wider edge on this top side. You're looking to get that over the top of the bead. That's important because it stops it from slipping if you do bump up against a curb. This is obviously a lot easier to do when it's on a bench. So if you happen to be rotating your wheels, what a great time to do this. Okay, so we're going to cover up the rash now. So there you go. Looks as good as new. We've covered up all the road rash and the paint chips and everything else. Got a pretty good join there too. But if you want to cover that up with that join piece, which I've lost obviously, there it is. Just goes on like that. And there you go. That wheel has never looked so good. All right, thanks for watching.